How y'all doing? Happy Saturday, family. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's going on, family? What's going on? Hope I caught y'all at a good time. Family, what's up? Talk to me. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's good, family? Yo, what's good, family? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? What's good? I'm gonna wait till a few of y'all get up in here. Peace, fam. Peace. Shalom, shalom. How you doing, family? What's going on? We're gonna start 1 more minute, family. We just want a couple more people to get in. How y'all doing? Miss Sutton, how you doing? David, how you doing? Shalom, family. West Fields, how you doing? Good evening, everybody. Everybody, good evening. What's going on? What's going on, fam? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on? You gonna start in 30 seconds. What's going on? I hope it's connecting well. I hope the internet connecting well, family. What y'all been up to? Been doing well? That's good. Miss Sutton, that's good. That's good. We gonna 15 more seconds, family. I'm all good, fam. A top, can't complain. Can't complain, bro. What's going on? What's going on? Yo, so what's good, family? What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? So tonight we pretty much gonna be talking about, everything is designed to keep you a slave, and that's for everything. Whether it be containing to the driver's license, whether it be containing to the debt system and everything like that. But one of the main things that a lot of people come to me, right? They say, Taquan, how is it that I got to do this? I got to do that. How do I got to pay taxes? And why do I got to register my car? And you feel like you don't have to. That's because one person understand what's going on and the other person don't understand. You have two different systems here, right? You got legal and you got lawful, right? The difference between the two, right? You got one that's operating commerce and you got one that's collecting money on behalf of a city municipal, which would be a township or a corporation, and you got another person that's exercising their common law rights. And many people not getting this concept because this goes with every aspect. The moment they transfer all of our laws, right, whether that be state laws, federal laws, once they converted all of the laws and they took away the organic United States of America and they implemented the Commerce Clause, which is Section 8 of Article 1, I want to say, of the Constitution. They pretty much separated the entire common law system and they implemented something called, this maritime jurisdiction. And when they sucked all of us in, many of us was stuck and we was under a different foreign jurisdiction, and it caused us to having to follow and abide by these municipal rules and these this fictitious system. And so many people not understanding that the things that is being passed every time by legislation and all of these laws constantly being passed, these are revenue laws. Because remind you, the more tickets that they give out, the more arrests that they make, enough the more the criminal charges that they file. These are all commercial crimes. So none of them are constitutional crimes. I mean, any constitutional violations. None of these has anything to do with solving crime or solving issues. These are all ways to collect more revenue for the state, and then for the United States, because the state had to pay taxes to the federal government. And so many of us and our rights are being infringed by the United States because many of us not understanding everything has been implemented for them to take power away from us. Because back then, like I say, this is a common law based system. Everything was operated from gold and silver and stuff like that. Now, when you got the laws changing and everything like that, you got many people who fall into the monopoly. So as many times that I tell people, hey, understand what jurisdiction really means, understand how do they contract you with the state, how is a driver's license and a state ID is relevant to them gaining jurisdiction. Once you look at the totality of it, it makes a lot of sense because most people not making sense of what's going on. Most people just trying to figure out like okay, they try to argue and say, oh man, they sovereign citizens, but there is something going on, and you got to admit and you got to understand, have common sense to know that the same exact system that proposing these laws to us are the same exact system who is enslaving us and wiping away every common law right that we have. And most of us are ignoring it purposely because we are blinded by this, we blinded by that, but not knowing that this is one way how they can be a step further with martial law. This is how they can be a step further with taking away your ability to self-preserve, taking away mineral rights and stuff like that to the land of your own land. So y'all family, this stuff is deep, family. This ain't just about money. This ain't just about credit. This is just about understanding the system that you're in. And many of y'all who are on this live, this is the perfect time to just wake up and just learn like, okay, there's something I'm doing wrong. There's a reason why I'm partaking in this system, whether that be on the monetary side, whether that be on just following the revenue laws, because we can switch over a little bit to the money side. You got many people who work, and like I said in my last video, we only working for debt. So these are debt notes that you're receiving. So every dollar you get is a debt note. Every paycheck you get is a debt note. So it's not even real money. So since we live in a society where this is not real money and everything is just dealing with fiat currency and etc., that should tell you right there that this is a fraudulent system. And that's when the perfect time come and play when you understand the system. Because remind you, the most people who understand the system wins. Because when you understand this is a game, if you understand that we are bankrupt, once you understand that all laws are commercial, that's when everything come in. That's when you understand how the credit system works, right? You understand how banks lend money. Then you understand how common law take place while dealing with jurisdiction. Understand those right there, and you can be a free man or a free woman, however you decide to roll a dice. But you just got to know those things, and that's how I originally came in with the knowledge, because many of us was arguing the constitutionality of a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, the Constitution does plays a strong part, but jurisdiction plays a bigger part. Because remind you, most people who are in court, most people who find themselves subjected to the jurisdiction of the state, not necessarily because they technically inside of a state, usually be because of consent. And you don't know where you gave consent at. You could have told the officer yes. You could have told the officer I agree. That could have been used as verbal consent. So there's a lot of trick words that's been used on us for us to admit jurisdiction, and it's been and we gave them jurisdiction unknowingly. So by many of us giving them jurisdiction unknowingly, and many of us contracting ourselves outside, no, to be contracting ourselves inside of their jurisdiction, that's when they can force the maritime law on us, the maritime statutory jurisdiction. And many people are going like, oh, these sovereign citizens, they crazy. You want me to tell you something? I'm gonna tell y'all something, right? The reason why the FBI implemented the sovereign citizen movement, quote unquote sovereign citizens, because there was people on YouTube, right, that was purposely making videos and bringing up constitutionality of certain things that we got the right to do, that we got the right to enforce. And the FBI had made a special operation where they hired many agents. They hired many government facilities. And you can even go to the United States District Attorney's website. And you also can go to the FBI website where they talk about sovereign citizens. And the reason why they make certain videos about sovereign citizens and they try to distract many people away from it, to get them away from it, because if many people figured out that the government is a scam, if many people figured out that your common law rights was violated, that will bring an uproar. That's why you have half the country that's against us and you have the other half that's with us. Now, why would you have so many Americans fighting another American or trying to argue against another American for exercising their constitutional rights? Those people are liberals and they work for the government. those FBI agents and everything like that, when they implemented this stuff and people start traveling online, yes, some of them sound foolish. Yes, some of them is not well equipped. Yes, some of them don't have all of the understanding. But there's something there that's showing that there's something going on that the world don't know about. The same way when the people watch my videos, they say, "Hold on, why was he let go? Why he kept saying United States of America Republic? What is the significance of it? Why, if he just tell the officer his address, why he just couldn't do that?" Because many of us been tricked and not understanding that all addresses that's here in the United States are owned by the federal government, and there's no private address besides rural free delivery, and you might have some general delivery addresses. But as far as the totality of it, there's no such thing as a United States of America Republic address. Remember, most addresses is owned by the United States District. So DC own all federal addresses and federal territories. Every time you're dealing with each zip code bracket, say if it's like 10, 20,000 zip codes here in the United States of America, each of those zip codes are owned by the District of Columbia. That's how they are able to implement the foreign jurisdiction inside of every state. So as many of us, we appropriate like the state, the land and everything, and we think the land ties in to the federal government, but the land does not tie in with the federal government. Like say for instance, you stepping on soil. But the moment you admit that you live on 3132, 3132, these are all copyrighted addresses. So as many times as we claim to live within the jurisdiction of the District of Columbia, it's easier for them to implement us and put us inside of this foreign jurisdiction because we claim to live in their territories. Remind you, no territory that you claim is private. So we don't have no more freedom rights and everything like that. So my address, right? So we got the house and everything, right? So if I give the police that address is owned to a federal territory. Every home that is sold to you has already been assigned a federal territorial address. So you have a District of Columbia address, and everything that we deal with is also based on consent, whether it be car registration, whether it be title, tag, plate. Those are all elements of consent. And people not understanding it because they like, okay, if I'm getting a license, if I'm getting a state ID, isn't that what I'm supposed to do? Well, maybe if you was working for a union, maybe if you working for a taxi company, why would you get license plates just to travel around with? And people and many people overlook it because they've been brainwashed. So their parents have brainwashed them, the media brainwashed them, but they not understanding certain constitutionalities of what's really going on. So you will have an individual who will get a driver's license. There's no purpose to the driver's license. So you will travel with it, you go to a store, you go to the grocery store, that's traveling, right? But it becomes consent based the moment you sign up for the driver's license. So now the Secretary of State keeps that record on you. Now they have that file on you. That file is always used as a presumption that you are a resident of the state, of that particular state. And so anytime you deal with law enforcement, they don't just ask you for your name and say, "Oh, I got your identity." They ask you for your name, and they also look up your name through the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State pull a full file on you, so that file can be used in any time that they want to file or proceed with charges against the individual. Okay. Scott Keeler, he said something interesting, right? This is a troll, but hear me out. He said nothing in the Constitution says anything about driving a vehicle, right? Let me explain to you how it works. The same way when you have in the Constitution, you got the right to drive, you got the right to travel with the horse, you got the right to travel with cattle, and etc. Right? Understand this, right? At the time where the Constitution was actually made, back then there was no goddamn Ford Focuses, there was no Ram trucks, there was no F-150s. So that terminology and that term couldn't practically be used because what was used back then, there was horses, right? So they was used in place of the car. So now today we have modern day. Modern day horse will be what? The vehicles, right? And so when you understand the constitutionality of traveling, it's just your right and ability to travel freely. Now in today's time we have vehicles, so the modern day vehicle would be that horse back then. So when you translate that and look at the real terminology of that, you will find out that yes, we do have a right to travel, and that would be considered like the private horse. The same way with bearing arms. So you will look at the constitutionality of bearing arms. They will say you have the right to keep and bear arms. There's no other things that's added to the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment then say you can bear arms, but unless you have a felony, you can bear arms unless you have domestic violence in your background. You can bear arms unless you have child support. Those things were stipulated by the District of Columbia to purposely and intentionally take away the rights of individuals. Same way where you have the law 922G, that's a federal statute that prohibiting convicted felons for possessing a handgun, right? Now, that was implemented in 1967. Now, 1967 does not have any constitutionality when dealing with the Bill of Rights because the Bill of Rights does not run hand in hand with this 922G. So many laws and everything like that is very conflicting when it's dealing with the supreme law. We talked about this before. We discussed this, but we not understand this entire matriarchal system. Like we not understanding exactly what's going on, family. Okay, he said, does not work that way. 14th Amendment gives states the right to demand a license. No, hear me out. Guess what the Supreme Court says to the state? As long as the state is passing laws, right, it's okay. But if it conflicts with the United States Constitution, consider it null and void. Read the Supremacy Clause. Thank you. So if the state does have a constitutional right to implement laws in the state, the laws cannot conflict the United States Constitution. Read New York versus Bruin decision. When New York tried to prohibit people from having firearm licenses and etc. And the Supreme Court stated that this is a New York law, yes. But if New York, if they read the Constitution carefully, if they fully examine the Constitution, it clearly states that they must show and prove and demonstrate that that was also aligned with the Second Amendment. And since it didn't align with the Second Amendment, they had to deem that law that New York State had as unconstitutional. Thank you for believing me. Yes. So any law that the state passed, it cannot conflict with the United States Constitution. You have many different idiots who come on this live and they'll say, oh, what about states can create their own laws? Yes. But as long as it does not conflict with the United States Constitution, you create any law you want. You create the right to not kill nobody. You can say a person don't have a right to kill nobody or whatever the case might be. But the moment it conflicts with the United States Constitution, that's when you have the problem. You get what I'm saying? That's when you have the problem. So the same way with a horse and a vehicle. So when you're looking at the modern day horse or the way they travel, it was through carriages, right? Carriages, what horses carried, right? If you was to look back then, a carriage would be considered what? A vehicle. That was their means to travel around, right? Now today you have what? Modern day vehicles, right? Modern day vehicle would consist of a car with an engine. Those would be the modern day carriages. Those would be the modern day horses. You get what I'm saying? So people got to understand that. Yep. But yeah, family. No. So if you're a truck driver, Scott, right? Let me explain something, right? I'm glad you said that. A truck driver is a commercial driver. That means you are transporting goods, right? That means you working commercially. So say for instance, if you have a company, you got a business, right? You have to ensure that the driver that you have with all of these tons of equipment is insured for the protection of the people. So if you crash a fucking 50,000 pound truck on a minivan who's just traveling, then of course you want to have some sort of liability. You don't want them to come at you personally. So of course you got to have some sort of license, especially if you're dealing with commercial. I'm gonna tell you something, right? Now remember, this maritime law and this maritime jurisdiction is sick, right? You know you can travel with a plane without a license, right? You can drive a plane without a license. But in order to drive for an airline, you have to have a special license for that. But to drive a plane, you do not have to have a license. I searched that up myself because I've been did aviation before, but this time I really want to take that aviation class. But I found out you don't need a certification to drive any plane. You can literally hop in any plane and drive it. But if you want to work for an airline, that they require you to have a license. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this one law, I'm gonna agree with y'all. You better have a license if you ever gonna drive a plane. I don't care. No, skip that right to travel stuff. You better have a listen. You better have a license if you're trying to travel with a plane. Please have a license if you're trying to travel with a plane. But besides that, like your common law rights, you protect it. You know. But yeah, if a truck drive, you don't drive a plane. You fly a plane. Yeah, don't fly a plane. Yep. A horse is not a vehicle. It's an animal. It was a carriage, and horses actually are vehicles. The terminology of a horse back then was a vehicle family. That was vehicles. Carriages was a part of a vehicle. That was vehicles. They took you to state to state. That's a vehicle. Don't a vehicle take you to state to state? They just didn't have a muffler or anything like that. But to get gas was what them eating hay or some water, right? That's what they gas. That's what the gas station was. And they stayed in the driveway the entire night until you ready to go into to somewhere else. Yeah. So yeah, family. All of this stuff in this monetary system, this stuff been changed entirely, family. It's been a lot of constitutional violations, and I see it a lot. Hey fam, when you're going to upload the replay from Sunday. Oh, I have it. So if any of you guys ever went to my Zoom class or you haven't went to my Zoom class, I do have it available for sale. And if you went, you get it for free. But if you didn't go, you got to pay for it. Just contact me at 224-463-1848. Over 50 people are in my local jail trying to drive without a license. But this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. Whether a person go to jail behind fighting for their rights, that's what happened when you're dealing with a transition in law. It was a time where millions of people was going to jail for marijuana. Now marijuana is legal. It was millions of people who was going to jail for firearms. Now in many states, firearms not even required for a license. So you're going to have some sort of resistance when dealing with a drastic change like fighting for your constitutional rights. I don't know why people think that people who fight for freedom is just going to be good. That's like, look, check this out. You trying to go against a system who been structured and organized for over 500-600 years, and you coming out of nowhere saying, "Hey, I'm going to do something opposite of what you guys have brainwashed and programmed the world to do," and you just think it's going to go overnight. No, you're going to have some fight. You're going to have some sort of pushback. You're going to have some sort of resistance. It does not work like that. I never said that. I never say, "Hey, family, you can just travel. You ain't never got to worry about nothing ever happening to you." No, no, no. I'm saying you could be in a situation where you have less risk, but don't ever think nothing cannot happen, especially in a system where you was born a slave, you was born and your parents got you a social security number, you had a driver's license, so you have plenty of contracts. You have to go to court to dispute those contracts. You got to go to court to dispute the presumptions. You have to go to court to challenge certain jurisdictions. You have to go to court to challenge the constitutionality of traveling without a license. You have to do that. You get what I'm saying? You have to do that. You are responsible for doing that. So, like a person going to jail for fighting for their constitutional rights is the beginning of the process. That's why the government don't want you to do it. There's many people that's trying to do it. There's many people that's fighting for their rights. There's many people that's dying for their rights. There's many people that's going to jail for their rights. Because if we remain doing the same thing, it's very easy for the government to implement more things. Like say, for instance, if we allow, let's just say, for instance, let's just say if 100% of the world was compliant with the government, what else is next? Vaccines. If we was compliant with vaccines, what happened after that? They're going to implement more vaccines. Because as long as we allow the system to keep moving with no resistance, enslaving people would be the most easiest thing in the world because it'd be consent based. So everything you would do is be consent. To pay taxes is consent. So the IRS won't have to worry about knocking on your door. You are more scared of the IRS than you are for fighting for your rights. So you're going to just pay the IRS. You're not going to play with the IRS. You're not going to play with anything else. But you're playing with one person. That's yourself and that's your rights. So for a person to just think, that, that you can just go out here and travel and you have no resistance, you ain't gonna never have any problems. No, it don't work like that. Freedom is not free. Freedom must be fight for. You have to fight for freedom every single day. You have to fight for your rights every single day. I don't care if a million people are against it, because remind you, most people are slaves. Most people are brainwashed by the government. Media have brainwashed them. Their family has brainwashed them. The school system have brainwashed them. And when everybody brainwashed them, what do you think a brainwashed person is going to do? They're going to follow the system. So if the system say, "Oh, y'all, we having a COVID vaccine. Please take your COVID." Everybody take the shot. They say, "Oh, they stupid." Let's see what they take another one. Come on, you not saved yet. One more shot. This is called the booster. If we take the booster, then I think it should help you. Okay, we take the booster. Now, a million people did off the COVID shot. Then they say, "No, we have one more. You have to take one more COVID shot. This is better than the booster. This is the booster 2.0." And the more people follow it, like, oh, shit, as long as they do it, like, we win. So that's the brainwash system that we're talking about. So the more the people who following it, the more people who just feeding into the system, the more rich they get. The same way with licenses and registration. These are revenue laws. These are revenue laws. That's all it is. I didn't go to court on neither citation I got. Guess what happened? Nothing. I didn't go to court on neither citation that I received. I received a citation in May, and I received a citation in couple like 2 months ago. Didn't go to either court date. I don't even go to court. But what I'm saying is, besides if it's something serious like a felony, yeah. But if it's like small like that, no, you don't. I just don't show up to court. But I will tell you this: you have to stand up for your rights. You have to stand up for your freedom. You have to stand up for all of that. You just can't expect things to go your way just because, like, you want to just get something without any resistance. If it was easy, won't you think everybody would do it? The reason why it's hard because you're the only one doing it. You have 5% of America is doing what we're doing. Not even 5%, probably 1% is doing what we're doing. And you have the other 98% who is brainwashed, who's going against you. So you have most of America that's going against you, going against the Constitution because they've been brainwashed by media and liberals. And you got people that, like Scott Keller, he will come on YouTube to defend the system, defend these liberals, and defend the federal statutory jurisdiction. Listen, you have to be a real slave to argue with a man who trying to teach people to exercise their rights and trying to convince him that he don't have any rights. Get the fuck out of here. Wow. Like, you see how deep the brainwashing goes? You literally trying to convince me to not exercise my rights. You get what I'm saying? And so people not understanding what's going on. And yes, it's possible your vehicles can be towed. Yes, it's possible you can go to jail. Yes, it's possible that you got to fight the courts. Yes, it's possible that police might search your car, even if it's legal or illegally. You still have to fight for your rights. It does not matter what happens. You think when a person about to go to war, you think a person saying, "Oh man, we might die." I get it. We can die. No, skip, we can die. We will die. But they still have to fight for it. And that's just for the next generation. That's for their kids. That's for their family. And that's just them standing on principle. Because if they allow the system to control them, they'll just be test dummies. They'll just be test dummies. That's how the rich get rich and the poor get poor. And that's how the government maintain the position that they're in, because no one never looks outside the system. No one never looks outside the box. This system, this matrix system, is extremely easy to control these people. Because who's thinking outside the box? Nobody thinking. They look at us like we crazy because we exercise our rights. You have these idiots like Van Balian, you have Teen Skeptic, all of these idiots, right? And they would go and try to bash people for exercising their constitutional rights. And they won't even think twice on why they're even doing this. Why? You think they're just doing it for their health, or they doing it because they exercising a liberty? They're not doing it just because. They're doing it to prove a point. They're doing it to make a point. They're doing it for a teaching lesson. You know, it's easy to submit to a government that's been organized against you for the last 500 years. Of course, it's easy. Of course. So the government just wants slaves. They're like, "You gonna listen to us?" "Yeah, Mr. Government, I'm gonna listen to everything you say." And then they got them a slave. They don't got to worry about them turning against the system. They don't got to worry about them not taking the COVID shot. They don't even got to worry about them jumping off the planet for them just to save the government. They don't have to worry about that. And that's why I say it is very hard to fight for freedom when you have so many brainwashed U.S. citizens here, and on top of that, you got the government against you. So you have the government against you. You have the government slaves against you, which would be the United States citizens. You have the trolls that's on YouTube who helping the FBI goes against you. You have all of these trolls that's against you. That's why we a very, very, very small community. Maybe if we was rappers or something like that in the spotlight, maybe we have way more traction. But when you're dealing with real life stuff, when you're dealing with real life circumstances, when you're dealing with real life freedoms, you really have to know that there's a lot of people that's against it. Yeah. You get what I'm saying, family? Yeah. Being free ain't never free. Yep, the DMV literally says you're under a privilege, not a right, and that's what I'm saying. You are under a privilege. You are not under a right. You do not have constitutional rights. You have constitutional protected rights, but you have to protect your rights. How do you protect your rights? By enforcing your rights. How do you protect your rights? By standing on your rights. How do you protect your rights? Not folding when it comes to protecting them. I don't care what happened to me. You get what I'm saying? I don't care what happens. You have to protect your rights. If you don't, and this don't got nothing to do with the Constitution. This goes beyond the Constitution. This goes with God-given rights. This goes with just your God-given rights, your God-given protected rights. As long as you're not hurting nobody, bringing pain to nobody, stealing from nobody, robbing anyone. Besides that, you have your God-given rights, family. Yes, so you can contact me at 224-463-1848, family. Does the government have to be fined a jury of your peers, nationals in a jury trial? Um, no. They get brainwashed United States citizen slaves. That's why when I had my jury trial in Florida, I was praying. I was praying that I don't come in front of a lot of liberals. I was, liberals. I throw the towel in. If I see a bunch of liberals, I will throw the towel in. I will throw the towel in. But don't get me wrong, it's some conservatives that are liberals too. They think the same way as liberals. So I don't like a lot of people. If you don't understand the constitutionality of a lot of things or anything like that, then personally, I don't trust anybody. Scott Keeler, I would cry if he was my juror. If Team Skeptic was my juror, I would cry. If Van Value was my juror, I would cry. I would cry. They would find me guilty before they even heard the facts of the case. They'd say he guilty, 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 guilty. They wouldn't spare me at all. But honestly, this is what happens when people are brainwashed by the government. And it's sad to say, but this is what happened. But most jury trials, I'm not gonna lie to you, you can find a lot of trials that has a lot of conservative people who understand the system, people who trying to break free from the system. My jury pool was mostly conservatives, mostly conservative. One, two liberals maybe, but they was against the system. Everybody was against the system. But you got to think, I had the jury trial in the South, in Florida, so that's a conservative state. So when I had it, so um, so when I had the jury trial in Florida, I knew I won. Everybody in the jury agreed with me. When I came in and was talking about the Second Amendment, they was like, "Yes, yes, yes. You don't have to have a license." And some of the jurors was asking the prosecutor questions like, "Hey, what is he being charged with?" They said a gun. She said, "Don't we have the Second Amendment right to bear arms?" They said the judge like, "Yes, we do." I'm like, "Why are you getting mad because she brought up the Constitution?" You get what I'm saying, family? Y'all got to think outside the box. It was a foreigner. She wasn't even from America. She was from some country in the UK or something, but she was a permanent resident. So, you got the right to be on the jury. So she said, "Don't we have the right to keep and bear arms?" And the judge was like, "Yes, but that's our constitutional rights. We're talking about Florida statute that makes it illegal to have a gun without a license." And she said, "Wait, but if the Constitution says this, why would we have to have a license?" And so you get what I'm saying? So at that time, what happened at that time? So they striked her from the jury. They said she can't be on the jury. We don't want her on the jury. They picked 7 for me. All 7 jurors came back in 10 minutes, said not guilty. And I got found with the gun on me, no license. And I said I got a constitutional right to bear arms. And that's it. Really, they smacked it in 10 minutes. You can have a jury like that. Now, there's the flip side. Get the other jury. The other jury say, this sovereign citizen going against our system. Oh, yeah, you fucked. You fucked. You fucked. Like, you fucked. You really fucked. If you go in front of them jury, if you go in front of a Scott Keeler, oh, yeah, you fucked. You fucked. You fucked. You fucked. You might as well leave the country instantly. So they say we're going to deliberate. You need to be on the first plane to Cancun. Yeah, you need to go because that's what, and that's the flip side. You don't know which jury you will get. You don't know who you will get. You don't know if you got these trolls. You don't know if you got FBI agents. You don't know if you got liberals. You know you might have the most closed-minded person in the world and just find you guilty. Yep. So at the end of the day, family, rights has to be fight for. You have to fight for your rights. Rights are not given to you. Rights are not just, just, hey, you got rights and that's it. No. You got to fight for your rights. You got to stand on your rights. It's not just, oh, hey, here you go. No, you got to fight for them, whether you go to jail or not. I never knock a person from going to jail. If they do go to jail, I would give you certain constructive criticism on what you should do better. But whether you go down or not for fighting for your rights, you are still considered a powerful person. I don't take nothing away from anybody who went to jail. When I went to jail, the anti-sovereigns celebrated. It's okay, because at the end of the day, we still got a battle, and I'm back. So, you get what I'm saying, family? So, you got to fight for your rights, family. I'm out, family. I'm gone. I'm glad I had this conversation with y'all, man. Peace and love, family. I want y'all to enjoy yourself this Saturday. I'm out. My phone number, if anybody want to contact me for anything, is 224-463-1848. Again, it is 224-463-1848. Again, it is 224-463-1848. Scott Keeler, stop being a troll and also stop being a liberal. I'm out.